everyone, it's Chloe here and I'm the owner, maker and creator of Emmy Creations. Welcome back to my channel. So today's video is going to be one where I really wanted to do for a long time, and it's actually talking about my finances. So recently I've done all my finances. I am yet to do my taxes, but I thought it would be a good opportunity to be transparent and open with everyone and just to share a little bit about how I'm doing in terms of my business and how much I am earning, and also where all my income actually comes from. So I'm hoping to be really transparent because I feel like I don't really see a lot of that online with other businesses. And I also started seeing a trend on Instagram where people were sharing their monthly earnings, and I thought, you know what, maybe I should really do the same so that you guys can see what I am able to earn through my small crochet business, and hopefully give you guys hope if you are thinking of starting your own business as well. So I guess I should get straight into it. I have everything written down in my trusty little notebook, but I'm actually on the computer today because I have screenshots of data that I've captured that I would love to share with you guys, just to give you guys some insights into the financial side of my business. So I'm actually going to talk in terms of financial year, and in Australia, the financial year starts at the beginning of July and ends at the end of June. So for the 2022 to 2023 financial year, my business was able to earn $74,936.39, and that is my gross revenue plus any gifts and credits that I have received. So in Australia, the Australian government actually introduced, or not introduced, but made it, they became stricter with content creators and influencers who receive gifts, and like monetary gifts or just gifts like bags or clothes or whatever items that they may receive from a company that they're sponsoring. So the Australian government has introduced a stricter rule where any content creator or influencer or anyone who does, marketing through social media for brands, they need to put that down in their tax. And so I have had to include that in my total revenue for the year. So if I was to break that down, my gross revenue just from selling, patterns, physical toys at my markets, then the total revenue is actually $70,802.63. And in terms of credits and gifts, because as you have seen through my YouTube or even my Instagram, I do some sponsored videos for brands such as Cricut and Vista Print. So from that, I actually received $4,133.76 in credits and gifts, which is why it brought my revenue up to the $74,936. But that is gross revenue. That does not include my expenses at all, and it does not include, the shipping costs, material costs, the fees that I have to pay for Etsy and my website, and all the transaction fees. But if I was to go through what my expenses are, then in terms of fees, my total fees for, running my website, Etsy, the transaction fees, it actually came down to $8,021.88. And I just want to add, the majority of those fees were actually Etsy fees. And I think all of you will know that Etsy takes a lot of fees from our sales. Yes, they say you need to pay 20 cents USD to list your product, so that's the listing fee, but then they also take 6.5% of your sales that you earn. But they don't actually tell you that they also take fees for the processing fees and the transaction fees. And on top of those fees, there is also GST included. And when you do all the maths, it actually comes down to roughly 10% that Etsy takes from our sales. So Etsy actually accounted for $5,658.19 of those fees, leaving roughly, $2,500 or $2,400 that was from my website, in terms of the transaction fees there. So Etsy is quite hefty, and honestly, that is another conversation for another video where I will probably talk more about Etsy and talk more about their fees as well, if that is something that you guys would like. But yeah, so moving on, my shipping and my material costs actually was around $13,073.91, which is actually quite a bit. I do buy a lot of yarn, and the reason why I do that is because I'm just one of those, I don't know, when I see yarn and it's on sale, I'm like, oh, I'm gonna need that, I'm gonna buy it. But usually the case, I do use the yarn, it's just I just have a lot. Probably not as much as some people, but I still feel like I have a lot. Shipping does take up a lot, because I still sell kits and physical toys. The shipping cost for that is quite a bit. And in terms of shipping, I do pay roughly, $7,000 to $8,000 in shipping, which is, it's not a small number. So in terms of my total expense, it actually comes down to $18,732.10. So if I was to put my gross revenue with my expenses, then my taxable income comes down to $56,204.29. And this is before tax. And I haven't done my taxes yet, so I can't give you an accurate number in terms of my actual annual income. But there is there is a website where I can do an estimate. So I've done an estimate for you guys. So in Australia, we actually have to pay a Medicare levy, which I'm kind of fine with because I do, go to the doctors and everything, and I do use Medicare. And for my salary, it is $1,000 for Medicare levy. And then in terms of my income, the website calculated that I will have to pay $6,700 in tax. But because I am a low income earner, the government is rewarding me $250. So I guess that's something. I can't really complain about that. So in terms of my estimated annual income for the year after the estimated tax that I will have to pay, it will come down to roughly around $48,754.29. But I think that will vary a little bit, especially when I do my deductions from my expenses, and I'm hoping that will probably push it back up to around the $50,000 mark. So this financial year, between between the 1st of July of 2022 to the 30th of June 2023, I will make an estimate of around $50,000, which I think is actually not too bad considering I am in my second year of in my second year. I've been running my business for 2.5 years. And I remember doing my taxable income for last year, and it was only around $18,000. So I have made a lot more money in this financial year. And talking about when I first started, it was a really slow run. And I guess I want to talk about that a little bit more, just because I want people to realize the reality of starting your own business, that it does not happen overnight, and it does take a lot of time and effort to bring it to where you want it to be. So right now, for me, I am halfway to my goal. My goal is to make my business a 6-figure business. Right now, it is a 5-figure business, which is really amazing and really great, but my aim is to make it a 6-figure business. But when I first started, I couldn't even think about that. So I thought I would just show you with a screenshot of what my first year looked like. And I did not earn that much in my first year. I literally only earned $7,875 in my first year of starting my business. And I started my business in February of 2021. And if you look at the bottom, when I first started, I was earning almost absolutely nothing for a long time. I didn't even crack the $500 mark until July. So it took me 6 months to even reach $500 in sales when I first started. When I first started, I literally was receiving $40 to $50 per month, which is nothing. I could not pay my bills with that. I literally could only use that as a snack. And I will be honest with you guys. When I first started, I was using my savings that I earned from my previous job, and I was using that money to run my business, to pay my mortgage, to pay my bills. And also at some point in my business, I was literally at minus $100. I was in the negative. I had no more money left. And that was probably my lowest point in my business, where I was starting to give up because I wasn't seeing the results that I wanted, and I was being really impatient. But when I hit that low, I immediately hit a high straight after that. And that high was around the next year. So I'll change the screenshot to my 2022 numbers. I was starting to earn between $1,000 to $2,000 per month. So I was starting to earn enough to not exactly pay for my mortgage yet, but I could pay for the little bills. But luckily for me, I had my husband that was supporting me in terms of financially. And but at the end of the day, I really want to contribute in my family, and I didn't want to rely on my husband too much either. So, but there was a point in 2022 when I actually started to earn more money, and I was actually starting to see the results from my hard work. And if you look at this graph, I'm pretty consistent in terms of my earnings. I was earning between $1,000 to $2,000 on my Etsy, and this is just Etsy. This does not account for my Wix store, but I don't earn as much on my Wix compared to my Etsy store, but that is a whole nother conversation. So throughout 2022, there was nice consistency until I reached my busy period, which actually started in October and continued until January. And that was when I was actually starting to earn money and make a lot of sales, and I was earning between $3,000 to $4,000 per month, to $5,000 to $6,000. And I'll just change the screenshot to my 2023 numbers. I actually earned $7,000 at one point on my Etsy store in the month of January. And this is just Etsy. On my Wix, I also earned roughly around $3,000. So in the month of January, I earned around $10,000. And this is my high period. And the reason for that high number in sales is because it was during the Christmas period and the Lunar New Year period, where I actually released a lot of new patterns, and people were also buying a lot of toys, such as my Zodiac toys, which I usually sell more of around that time of the year because of the Lunar New Year celebrations. And it's an amazing gift for people if you're visiting a family or friends during the Lunar New Year. So that was why my sales was so high, but it dropped because I did not have any, Valentine's Day patterns, or the seasonal aspect of it started to decline. So that was why I had a drop in sales. But even then, my sales on my Etsy has been fairly consistent, ranging between around, $2,000, $3,000 per month. And, and it's actually gradually, increasing. But this is only for my Etsy. If I was to look at my Wix as well, it actually, for the year of 2023, it actually brought in $13,614 in revenue. And I don't think you can see the green text there, but that is a 1,004% jump from my previous sales on my Wix store. So I think that will give you an indication that my Wix store did not do as well when I first opened it up compared to how it is doing now. And the reason being, and I can talk about this in another video, but I'll just summarize it really quickly here, is that with my Wix website, I am doing all the marketing to drive traffic into my website. So I need to do all the SEOs, which is the search engine optimization. I need to do all the tagging. I need to do all the marketing. And whereas with Etsy actually does all of that for us. So Etsy is a platform that has millions of buyers. So there is already a massive group of people that are willing or actually searching to purchase an item through our Etsy stores. And because there is already a massive footprint of traffic, of people on that online marketplace, it means it's easier for people to find our stores. And also Etsy does the SEOs for us as well. So in a way, there are pros and cons. And like I said before, this there will be a future video where I talk about comparing, Etsy and starting your own website and seeing where the pros are and what the cons are. But I think from this video, you get the gist of some of the pros and some of those cons already. But I think that is the reason why I'm not getting as much traffic into my Wix, because I need to work on that a little bit more than I have to with my Etsy store. But with that being said, there is always going to be, something that is going to, affect our sales or improve our sales. And like I said before, it could be a seasonal thing as well, but I'm 100% sure it's because I haven't marketed my website enough for people, or to drive people to my website, even though I do try and advertise it a little bit more through my social media, and also through YouTube, for example. But yeah, so in terms of where my income actually comes from, I'm going to break it down and just break it down to the different categories from highest earning to lowest earning. So it's a no-brainer that I earn most of my revenue through my online stores, which is my Etsy store, my online shop through Wix, and my Ravelry store, which I also sell my patterns through. I'm also planning to sell my patterns in other platforms, but I just need to find time to put those patterns on there. The next highest revenue generator were my markets. Even though I've only done 4 markets in the year, I've earned almost $5,000 through my markets, which is a great achievement because I've never done markets before until 4 months ago. And then in terms, the next one was commissions. I know in my previous video I said that I don't do a lot of commissions, and I only do commissions for returning customers and for customers who purchase from my markets. But I did earn a little bit through my commissions. And then it's Google Ads from my YouTube channel, and then finally it's wholesale. And with wholesale, I actually don't do a lot of wholesale in general, only being because there is kind of this mentality with wholesale for people who are purchasing from you is that they should get roughly 40 to 50% off the retail price. So for example, if I was to put my 小笼包 up for wholesale, knowing that the retail price is around $25, the wholesaler is going to expect to purchase it for half that price, which I am not willing to do, because I know the amount of time that it takes me to actually make one silver bar. But I am planning to do wholesale for my kits, and in terms of the wholesale that I started to do, it was for my enamel pins and cards and stickers. But yeah, in terms of wholesale for toys, that is not something that I'm willing to do. Just knowing the amount of time and effort that I have to put into creating a piece. But those are the 5 areas that I actually earn income for my business. And yeah, and obviously I put a lot of attention and do a lot of work for my online stores, because my main focus is my designing and my digital patterns, which actually leads into what my best selling items were for my financial year, and just the whole year round actually. My best selling is obviously, actually it's probably not that obvious, but it's my digital patterns, and it is amazing passive income. And I know I've said this before, and I'll say it again, if you want to grow a crochet business, I definitely encourage you guys to sell digital patterns, because like I said before, it's great passive income. You just need to spend that time designing, writing the pattern down, getting it tested, and then creating the descriptions for your online store and uploading it. But once you've done all of that work, the pattern just sits there and waits for people to, purchase it and download it, and that's all there is to it. So it's not a lot of work when you're dealing with digital patterns. And that is where my focus is at the moment. And my goal, right now I have around 85 patterns available in my stores. My aim is to reach 100. I'm really excited about that, because I'm very close, but there is still a lot of designing that I have to do. But in terms of the next best-selling item, is actually my physical toys. I don't actually, in terms of quantity, I don't sell a lot of physical toys, but they are definitely more expensive than my digital products. So with my digital products, I rely on volume to get revenue. And then the final one is kits, which also relies on volume as well, because my kits are roughly between $20 to $35 Australian dollars. So it's not too expensive, and it also comes with a pattern and all the required materials to create a piece. But yeah, my kits and patterns rely on volume, and whereas my toy, it's just really the quality that matters the most for me. It's not really the quantity or the amount that I sell. But yeah, those are definitely my best selling items, and I can actually show you. I'll just put a screenshot up in the corner in terms of which ones of my digital patterns that sell the best. And it's actually my digital pattern bundles. So the bundles where I have 12 patterns in one, or 8 patterns in one, or 3 patterns in one, those are my best selling digital patterns. And I think I said this before, if you want to increase your sales in your digital patterns, definitely bundle up patterns, because people will see more value in that, because one, they will calculate that they will get a discount with their bundles. So usually with the pricing of my bundles, it's usually 20% cheaper than buying an individual pattern. That is how I price my patterns or pattern bundles, but you may have a different system. But because people know that, or just by doing the maths, they know that if they buy the bundle, it's cheaper than buying the individual patterns. They are more likely to purchase the bundles. It's almost like the psychological thing, when it comes to sales and retail and, all of that. I really wonder if that is what people in large retail stores think about too. But yeah, so you can see for my Etsy, it is all my pattern bundles. My bar with the steamer has been my top selling item since the start of my business. And the rabbit was doing really well, because this year is the year of the rabbit. So next year is going to be the year of the dragon. So I can assume that my dragon pattern is going to be the next bestseller for next year. If I look at my Wix sales, again, it is my digital pattern bundles. But my dim sum family customizable toys are actually one of the best sellers on my Wix, because it's actually cheaper on my Wix for obvious reasons, because on Etsy there are the hefty fees that I talked about before. But these are my best selling products. And also, having seen this, the dim sum family being my best physical toy item sold online, it's also my best selling item at my markets as well, which I have mentioned before in my previous YouTube videos. So yeah, I hope this video has been really informative and has given you guys a look into where my business started, and knowing that it is okay not to earn a lot when you first start your business, and seeing where it can go through mine. But yeah, if you have any questions about my business and how much I earn and where the money comes from, don't forget to leave them in the comments below. I will try and get back to you as soon as I can. But otherwise, if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give me a thumbs up or subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. But otherwise, I really hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you all very soon. Bye!